He called it the most disgusting French kiss he had ever had, which is actually nothing compared to what actually happened to this man. Now, the man in this photo is named Rudy Norlander, and he was living in Big Sky, Montana when the whole thing happened. Now, the story took place on September 8th of 2023 when Rudy, who was 61 years old at the time, was tracking down a deer. Now, Rudy happened to own an ATV and snowmobile rental company. And on that day, a father and son duo that had rented a couple ATVs had returned them and said that they had trouble finding a deer that they believed to have shot. And although the father and son duo had spent quite a lot of time looking for this deer, Rudy said that he would go out and help them. And because Rudy was so familiar with the area, everyone said he knew it like the back of his hand, he was fairly confident that he would be able to help them find the deer. Now, although he did manage to find some deer tracks that he started following, unfortunately, this was the wrong deer. And instead of finding the deer that they were looking for, they ended up walking right into an area where there were multiple grizzly bears. And within seconds, a 10-foot grizzly bear pounced onto Rudy, not giving him any time to react. And the father and son duo that he was with were left in absolute shock watching everything go down. They said that the bear immediately locked onto Rudy's jaw area and essentially ripped out half of his face. And in that large bite, Rudy also ended up losing his trachea. Now, although the face injury was the worst one of all, the father and son also said that the bear started scratching and ripping apart his chest and also bit into his bicep and legs. And surprisingly, Rudy was awake and fully aware of what was going on the entire time. Now, of course, hearing Rudy's screams, the father and son duo knew they had to do something, but because there was so much movement going on, they were afraid that if they shot at the bear, they would accidentally hit Rudy. And so with that, they ended up throwing a bunch of rocks at the bear to try to scare it away. And at the same time, they also called for emergency help, but by the time responders got there, the bear had gone away. And when responders did get there, they were shocked to see that Rudy was still alive without a jaw, lacerations all over his body, collapsed lungs, and he had been in this state for about 2 whole hours. Rudy was immediately taken to the Bozeman Hospital by helicopter where he underwent multiple life-saving surgeries as well as reconstructive ones. But because he was quite literally left with no jaw at this point, doctors had no choice but to reconstruct a new jaw using part of his leg bone. And during the next several months of surgeries and therapy, Rudy had to use a whiteboard to communicate exactly what happened to him that day. And although he still has a long road ahead of him to fully recover, he knows that it's by the grace of God that he's still alive today.